Welcome back to our viewers, our listening family, and our viewing family. I am Willie Lightfoot,
And I am Lovely Warren.
and we are the hosts of the Love and Light podcast, where we lift up people and things we love and talk about the things that people don't talk about or nearly talk about enough. And we have a very, very important, interesting show for you today. Episode 46, powered by 103.9 WDKX, of Where Are Our Young Girls? And when I saw this, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I have a daughter.
Yes,
You have a daughter.
I have a daughter. Yes.
And this is very dear to a lot of people. This conversation will be today. So I just kind of wanted to go a little before we get into our love segment of what kind of inspired this particular topic, and for you want to talk about this today.
So I think that, as you said, I have a daughter, and I've been watching all this stuff that's been going on with Harvey Epstein. And, the stuff that happened with Diddy, all of those little things. And I'm thinking like, okay, well, where were their parents, right? And so you're talking about young girls, some as young as 14, being taken to private islands. Just yesterday they had a big press conference. I believe it was yesterday or the day before yesterday. A lot of the victims had a press conference down in Washington, D.C. And it's just so I'm really disheartened by some of the things I'm seeing online, some of the comments demonizing these young girls, really telling them that and really frightening them about even telling their story, right? So it's already hard for people that have been abused in this way to come forward, but then to have come forward, to have shared their testimony and have testified and all of that, and then to now years later, like I mean, Epstein died in 2019, right? We're in 2025, right? And we're just talking about this is becoming a big thing nationally because of some of the things that is happening around the president. But then on top of that, just in August, there is something going on here locally in the Western New York where there are about 8 girls that are missing that went missing in August, and nobody knows where they're at, right? And so I'm looking at this stuff going on with Epstein. I'm seeing that there is something happening locally where about 8 girls in Western New York have just literally disappeared. Nobody knows where they're at, and nobody's talking about it.
All right. Well, episode 46, we're going to dive into this. And before we get into that, we do want to ask our listening members and family, encourage you to download the WDKX mobile app. You can even text or call the WDKX frontline number at 585-678-1039. Tell us how you like the show. Give us some new show topics. You can even use the open mic feature app to leave us a message about the show. Now for our love lifting segment.
Yes. So we, of course, want to lift up our very own Andrea Langston. And of course, always Garth Fagan, right?
Absolutely.
From Lion King. But something interesting happened, just last month. Everybody knows Andrea is in the BET Plus movie.
Feature. She's the star in the movie.
Yeah. So she's like the lead, right? And so on 42nd Street or down in New York City, Times Square, you have this big billboard of her along with the feature of the Lion King, right? And so I thought that, and both of them are from Rochester, just shining light, and that's just like absolutely amazing.
The movie's called Peripheral, right? It's streaming on BET Plus, and she's the star of the movie. It's a horror type film. I've seen some of the clips of it. It seems like it's very, very good. I definitely got to catch it.
Yes.
Definitely got to lock in. But big up to her. Big up to Garth Fagan on our love lifting segment, to Rochester, putting Rochester on the national and or international map. Because both of these have Garth Fagan for years has had an international appeal, of course. And then we know with Andrea doing this movie and the movie being streamed the way it is, that puts it in an international stage as well.
Yeah.
So we're very excited and proud of her, and we really want to just say big up to
WDKX
her.
is very own, and so we just wanted to, in our love lifting segment, lift up Rochester's heroes and let them know that we see you, we see you, And so last week we talked about, when
Local politics go national. Local politics or national things affect local politics as well. But we were talking a lot about the things that are happening nationally that are impacting local politics and how local politics are interacting. And they're both, all politics are local, so they're all impacting us, and these things all impact our lives. But we got a lot of good feedback from that show as well. But this show here, and when you were talking about, we're talking about where are our girls, and you're talking about the missing girls, but and then the time frame that has gone by with the Epstein, and then how now things are bringing this to the attention of everyone. But I also saw something this week, because I know we're talking about girls, but we want to not leave the boys out too.
right.
I saw something. I think I was watching on A&E this week. It was two-part. It was a 2-day show about the Michael Jackson trial. And I watched it. Both I got how something captures you and you just you can't stop watching it. And I was amazed at, and we're going to get in this when we talk about the girls, about accountability for the parents. I was amazed at during that trial how much evidence was given. In this situation, we were talking about young boys who were claiming that they had been molested or sex, etc. And of course, he was acquitted of all of those charges. However, but when you listen to the trial and all of the evidence and the things, these parents were bringing their children in this environment, right? And I know that's one of the things we're going to kind of talk about with these girls is like, what we used to, have the thing on TV says 12 o'clock now. Do you know where your kids are? I mean, I know it's an old rap song or a Wu-Tang song that says, what I'm saying? It's 12 o'clock. Do you know where your C's at? You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, why is this so an important topic?
Well, I think that, we're just starting the school year, right?
Yes.
So big up to all of our schools, students that are going back to school. We want you to have a great school year.
Yes.
Teachers, principals, every administrators.
The people that walk the people across the street. What do they call them? The
our crossing guards,
the ones that work on
bus
the bus matrons,
our bus drivers,
school board members, superintendent, everybody.
We lift it. We understand that there's, that comes a lot with protecting kids and watching kids and making sure that they're taken care of. When in this day and age, there's a lot about abuse, sexual abuse. You talk about what's happening with priests. You're talking about, like I talked about with the Epstein stuff, and you have all of this, right? And we never really talk about what role that parents have, right? In trying to protect their children, or even if they know, sometimes, I was on Facebook just the other day, and a young lady was talking about how she was abused, about how her cousin raped her best friend, and everybody knew about it, and people covered it up, right?
Yes.
And so, that type of stuff, and thinking about, okay, where are the parents, right? I'm in family court, and some of the stuff that you see, right? And I can attest to the fact that sometimes I'm wondering, like, okay, what, like, are you serious? Like, you're not going to?
Have you had situations where you're in court, you got a client, right? And I know you're just client privilege and all that. I'm not asking you to divulge anybody's name or anything, but have you had clients? I think I kind of feel where you're going to say, like, you're trying to help them in their situation, but you could see kind of where they went wrong at, or something they may have missed, and go like, you had to. It's the lawyer part, but then there's also the mom in you, and there's the counseling part that go, well, maybe you could, and we all make mistakes, don't get me wrong, but you're just like, maybe you could have,
well, no, I think that a lot of times that, there's certain segments where certain things where you hear this case out of, I think it's like Pennsylvania, right? There's either Pennsylvania or Virginia, right? This young 11-year-old girl who had a baby in a bathroom, right? The grandma, the mom, the stepfather, all like, oh no, it was this 12-year-old boy that I used to watch, and it's not, they all adamantly deny that it was that this 11-year-old girl, that they knew that she was pregnant, that they
Mhm.
didn't know she was pregnant, any
Mm.
of that, right?
Mhm.
So of course they just tested the baby, the
Mhm.
DNA,
Mhm.
and it find out that it's the stepfather's, right?
Mm.
And so they arrest the grandmother because she knew, the mom because she knew, and of course the stepfather. And so there are these situations where parents know, or mothers and fathers know, and they don't remove their child from the situation, right?
Mhm.
um there, I also have parents that are literally fighting to get justice for their children, right? That was, 9 times out of 10 when a child is abused, it's somebody that they know,
Absolutely.
somebody
Yes.
that they are
That that they
that they
should be trusting.
trust.
Absolutely. Mhm.
And when parents find out, a lot of times they don't, you know, remove the child from the situation. And that's very hard.
Mhm. So we started talking about the Epstein files, and you were talking about also the missing, and I want to kind of get a little bit into that. These missing children. My understanding, I think I heard someone say in Chicago there were like 58 missing
Mhm.
children in just 1 month. And
Mhm.
we know Chicago numbers are always very big because it's a big city. But so these numbers may seem extremely staggering to a smaller city like ourselves. But in the scheme of things, per capita, they still are, one child is obviously enough. But 58 missing children, I think I heard you say like 8 missing children here. And this is something that
Girls.
girls.
So we're not even talking about, I
So
said
it could be
girls.
even
Now
larger.
this, it
Right.
could be,
Even
I think that
more.
there are boys that are missing
Sure.
too.
So let's talk about that. Like, why isn't this something that I remember the days when you would see billboards and you would see
Mhm.
children on milk cartons, and like we have these notices that you see people out when they're searching for people that they're looking for that have warrants or whatnot. But we don't seem to see the urgency, if you will, for these are babies, these are kids. And what seems to be the thing that's not allowing us to bring attention to these missing girls. These are missing girls in our local community, and I'm sure this is happening all over the country. And it
Mhm.
seems like it never gets talked about
No, it
or not enough.
doesn't. Well, because a lot of times they think like, oh, they just ran away.
Mm.
Right? So, I think the statistic is in 2023,
Hmm.
nearly 29,000 reports of children, that the NCMEC received. 93% were children who ran away.
Mm.
In 2023, 74% of endangered runaways reported, between the ages of 15 and 17 years old.
Hmm.
48% were recovered within a
Hmm.
week of going missing.
Mm.
But not all kids are runaways.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, there are a lot of predators in the world looking to exploit children.
Mm.
And so, yes, some kids are running away,
Hmm.
but a number of kids have literally been abducted and are being exploited, are being sex trafficked.
Mm.
And nobody, you have people that talk about, I know the Center for Youth, they talk about it on a lower level, but just in 1 month, 8 kids, 8 young girls from the ages of 14 to 18 literally just disappeared in Western New York. And I haven't heard a news report about it. I think that there might have been one local station
Hmm.
that talked about it, but right now in the state legislature, there's a new legislation that they're trying to push through called the Ebony Alert, right? Because basically, like the Amber Alert, but for Black kids, right? When Black kids go missing, or young people of color go missing. And so these are all things that we really need to shine a light on, and really need to talk about, because this is important, right?
Hmm.
Um, nobody know where these girls are. Their families are missing for them. They've been reported missing. School started. Nobody's seen them. And, some of them are as young as 14.
So this is episode 46, the Love and Light podcast, powered by 103.9 WDKX. We are sounding the alarm in this show of where are our girls? Where are our kids? We want to know. We're looking and advocating for more attention to this matter by anyone and everyone who has a platform
Mhm.
that can blow this alarm and educate. First of all, we need to get educated on it, right? And so oftentimes we don't do things because we just don't know about it. We don't have the knowledge of it. So we're hoping to kind of peel back a little bit of that today with some of the statistics and numbers that we got. How many people even knew that we had that many people missing? And in the country, it's thousands, it's tens of thousands of children and girls that have gone missing. Many of them through people being enticed. They're enticing them, and they're using this social media. Social media is a
social
big
media.
platform.
You have people that are suing, platforms right now, right? Like Roblox and things like that, because children are being exploited on there. So I would say 99% of the time parents are doing what they need to do,
Sure.
and they are trying to make sure that their children are protected at every angle, right?
So that's knowing where they are at all times. Children, I remember kind of arguing with my father-in-law at one point when my children turned like 11, 12, 13 years old. And he was like, oh, why don't they have a cell phone? And I was looking at him kind of funny, like, why is you trying to make me buy these kids? But this was, let's say, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, when cell phones wasn't really everybody didn't have one. And so but when I think about it now as a parent, I can totally understand why if your child's old enough and mature enough to understand, while making sure you know where they are, they have some way of communicating with you, that you're monitoring their friends, that you're monitoring the sites that they're on. There's ways you can set these phones up with parental monitoring,
parental controls, and also that you open the door for communication, right?
We talked about
I think that it is imperative that you leave the door open.
Yes.
Because people that are preying on young kids or whatever, they're telling them certain things that makes them afraid, right?
Yeah,
they're very impressible.
Don't say nothing.
Oh, I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna kill your mom.
Yep.
Certain things like that. So when a child finds the need, gets the courage to come forward, right? Gets the courage, then in that vein, you have to do everything that you can.
Now, we've talked about this before on the show, and I've shared very transparent about even in my family, molestation has happened to some of my family members that I'm aware of, and in the story I heard their stories, and they would say when they went to go tell, they were told, nah, that didn't happen to you. They didn't do that. You know what I'm saying? And it hurted them so bad that because nobody believed them. You know what I mean? And it's hurtful that this thing could happen to you from somebody you love and you trust. But then when you go tell another person you love and you trust that this has happened to you, and then they tell you, no, that you're just, or here's another one I've heard. Oh, well, what did you do? You know what I'm saying?
Fast tail girl.
what did you have on? And what did you do to make that man do? That's a child. Okay. And there's nothing that child did to deserve, even if the child was acting inappropriately, it's the adult's job to act appropriately.
Absolutely. And I think that is very, very important that we don't shy away from difficult conversations. Right. And the reason why I think that this is important to bring up now is because of all the little things that are happening across the board, right? You have the situation with Diddy, you have the situation with Epstein, you have the situation like I talked about in Pennsylvania, you have the situation locally where we have these 8 young girls that are missing. And so, I just don't want us to lose sight of something that can be happening right under our noses, and we're not talking about it, we're not paying attention to it, and I know that people have a lot going on, but if I give any, having a young teenager myself, it is frightening. It is frightening, because you want to protect it. You want to protect them. You want to protect their innocence. You want to protect everything about it. And sometimes you fail, but if you fail in that, if it does happen,
Mhm.
you have an obligation to do everything that you can to bring these people to justice.
So what I want to do, and as we get ready to close this show, because you put this down, and I think you put it down for a reason, and it's important. We want to say their names today. We want to say their names. Anaya Lewis, 17, Rochester, last seen August 15th. Frederica Sanders, 15, Buffalo, last seen August 10th. Zamir Wise, age 14, Rochester, New York, last seen August 4th. Marloni Richards, age 17, from Buffalo, New York, last seen July 30th. Nina Baker, 15, Buffalo, New York, last seen July 29th. Zaria Ringo, 14, Rochester, New York, last seen on July 28th. A lot of us didn't even hear about none of this on the news. No one's making a whole lot of noise about it. We're sounding the alarm today. Where are our young people? Where are our young girls? Let's talk about it. Let's make sure we keep the lines of communication open with our young people. This is episode 46 of the Love and Light podcast. And I'm going to tell you, make sure you keep letting your light shine. Don't let anyone put a lampshade on your light. Continue to let your light shine. May God bless you. May God keep you.
And dance like no one's watching, sing like there's no one listening, live like it's heaven on earth, and love like you've never been hurt. Powered by 103.9
WDKX.